Alright, we should be live now, which means... music time, boys! Fight all night. No truth, it ain't no truth. Are we gonna do some CBR? Who knows? Destruction. Ooh, yeah. Da 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 da. Alright. Alright. Y'all got the choice. Y'all got two choices today. Let me turn this down a little bit. Like that. Y'all got two choices. Y'all got CBR, or we could do Persona 4 today. What do we want to do, boys? What do we want to do? We definitely picked up from a bit of an interesting note with Persona 4 yesterday. But we could also do CBR and do some videos that we didn't do. The Amagi roast too, that's another thing that we could do. Yo, hey bro, have you seen Juni Tyson? It's short, it's only like 12 episodes, I think you'd like it. I'll think about it. Okay, we got one vote apiece for CBR and Persona 4. We got CBR, so we got free votes for CBR. I think CBR is about to win this one. Yep, I think CBR's won. Yeah. Alright, we're doing CBR today, boys! Woo! Alright, we're back to those freaking Avatar with us, boys. I am not prepared for this. I'm just gonna let y'all know, I am not prepared for this. Mentally, I'm not prepared. Physically, I'm not prepared, but, we can do this, boys. We absolutely can do this. I don't think I need to do all that, right? I don't think I need to do all that. No, I definitely did not need to do all that. Okay. Let's make this a lot smaller. Like, a lot smaller. Yeah, okay, that's good. Align that correctly. Yo, thanks for the 5, man. Thank you, Night Slasher. Alright. Alright, what if Aang never ran away? I am not mentally prepared for this. Oh yeah, let me turn off my music real quick. And we can get right into this. Oh boy. This is gonna be fun.
What would Avatar have been like if Aang never ran away? That's the question fans have had for years. Luckily,
for once they're correct. I feel like this is one of the what ifs that's a lot more thought out. People think of a lot because if Aang never ran away, what would the world have looked like for the next 100 years earlier? Would Aang have like met someone like Katara back then? Would he have died? There's a lot of questions I think that are present there. Realistically, if Aang didn't run away, though, it's very possible that he could either die or have to like go out, search the world on his own, and live with the guilt of like not being able to protect the airbenders and shit. That is probably something that's gonna be very apparent. But if he's actually there, you don't really have the conflict of the responsibility that Aang felt because he abandoned the world many years ago. Let me turn this up a little bit right around there.
For you, we believe that we have the answer. First, let's do a brief recap of exactly the situation that caused Aang to... Egress!
I had to do that for you, man. I had to do that for you, Nerdy. All right.
abandoned his
Yeah, don't forget
duties
to
as
like the stream, boys. We got a lot of shit to do today, man. We got a lot of shit
in
to
the
do.
first place. As we all remember, Aang had a very happy life at the Southern Air Temple, where he spent his days inventing new airbending games while he bonded with his father figure, Monk Gyatso. In the series, Aang overheard the other airbending masters telling Gyatso that he was spending too much time distracting Aang from his avatar duties. They were determined.
Side note, I always felt like the monks were a little bit unfair to Aang. I understand their position as well. I'm not against what they were thinking there completely, but the thing is that Gyatso provides some form of normalcy to Aang's life that has already gotten a lot more been flipped upside down, if you get what I'm saying. Because now because he couldn't play with his friends anymore. He couldn't, like, do the things he usually used to do. The only person that really provided any normalcy to his life was Gyatso. And I felt like it was a really bad decision to kind of separate them. I understand what's at stake here, but I always thought that was wrong. But I also am not going to go off and say, like, oh yeah, it's like a bad rhyme moment or whatever. Because their position is absolutely, like, has a lot of, like, is not necessarily incorrect in its own way if you think about it, but they're not looking at it from, like, Aang's perspective of what they want, of what he wants, and it's like, it's something I really appreciate from Avatar. Everything's not really, like, black and white clear cut. There's always some gray in between.
Determined to remove Aang from Gyatso's care due to the increased tensions with the Fire Nation. This was a real blow to Aang, as his friends had already started to ostracize him due to his avatar status. He hopped on Appa's back and ran away.
Yep.
During a particularly bad storm, Aang was forced into the avatar state to freeze himself and Appa into an iceberg so that they wouldn't drown. Our version of Avatar will take a right turn instead of a left. That being said, Avatar: The Last Airbender is not a name that...
Is that like a Doctor Who reference to turning left or some shit? Because the right turn was like something I remember from Doctor Who. I don't know, that could be something there. This video's not starting off too bad though.
That will work for this alternate series. Why don't we go with something new, like Avatar: The Legend of Aang? We'll also have to come up with an entirely different book system instead of Water, Earth, and Fire. We'll begin with our Avatar Book 1, Family.
I don't think you would have to, like, take away the books, though, right? I don't think you would have to do that. I don't think you... I mean, like, I feel like that's a little bit unnecessary, if you ask me. But that's just... that might be a minor nitpick. The Legend of Aang probably works. It does feel a little bit like copying from Korra, I guess, but, like, it's not wrong, I guess. I don't know.
What would have happened to Aang in the world if he hadn't run away, though? Well, Gyatso wasn't exactly going to take that verdict without a fight. Considering the fact that he was the greatest airbender of that time, it's likely that he would have been able to keep Aang in his care. The kids that ostracized Aang would inevitably come back around.
No, I don't think they would have. I don't think they would. I don't know if they really would have. We don't really fully know that. We're kind of making a bit of an assumption, but, like, with how strong the Avatar is supposed to be, there are a lot of things that kind of just change for you over time. And with Gyatso, I don't know if... I feel like Gyatso would just take him to run away with him, and that's what would happen. Not anything else nothing else in between. They would just, like, leave the Southern Air Temple. It's just based off the monk's authority.
What's truly tragic about Aang's choice to run away is that all of his problems were likely temporary. Had he merely waited a few days, he would likely have returned to the exact life he'd had before.
That's not something we can assume. Gyatso would have literally just ran away with him. That's what he was supposed to do. But until he learned that Aang was gone, had done it himself. There's just no way, though, that, Aang would be treated more like a Naruto if he stayed. Yeah, he'd be kind of a outcast. Not, like, hated like Naruto, but an outcast. And he would have just been, like, separated anyway. So that is just a massive oversight. I feel like they're trying to, like, they're not taking into account, like, the type of time period and cultures and other, like, what's on the line here, and thinking about, like, no, these problems that would have happened with Aang were not just something that would have gone away within a few days' time. It's something that would have sticked for a bit. And I feel like that's something that's being ignored here completely. I'm not in that anger levels yet, but I'm a little annoyed.
It's even more tragic to think that he probably would have had that realization and would have returned home shortly after leaving. The storm was more of the driving force keeping Aang from the world than I think he even realized. In the world where Aang decided to stay home, he likely would have had a lot more time with Gyatso and the Air Nomad.
Gyatso wanted to run away with him though, so like, why would they stay? Why would they stay there? Like, what? Here we go again.
Now, that isn't to say that there wouldn't have been tragedy. As we all know, on the day of Sozin's comet, the
Aang wouldn't be feared by the adults, at least. That's not what we're saying at all. It's not like the fear of adults or anything like that. They're like, it's more of like being an outcast while being like lauded as like a hero, though. That's kind of the main point here. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't be feared by the adults or anything like that, but it's just like, there are a lot of these scenarios that Aang would have gone through would have been similar to that of Naruto, except without the overwhelming hatred. He'd just be an outcast like Naruto.
The Fire Nation attacked. Sozin knew that the Avatar was the greatest risk to the empire he wanted to build, and so he sent a brigade of soldiers to the Southern Air Temple to take Aang out. While Aang would have likely wanted to fight, Gyatso and the other airbenders would have hit him away. They would have known that the young Avatar was no match for a Fire Nation army, let alone one that was juiced up by the comet. So while Aang was forced to hide, the airbenders would have gone to war with the invaders. Seeing as we don't meet many true air nomads in the series, we can only speculate what such a battle would look like. Knowing air nomads, there would have
they're not wrong about that. The only one that we have seen is Gyatso, who actually took out every single Fire Nation soldier that went after him, and then he killed himself because he couldn't bear like the thought of killing somebody. That's literally what happened. He did not go down by the Fire Nation. The Fire Nation did not kill him. Gyatso in his own life.
Likely been dozens of complex traps and strategies that would have kept the Fire Nation at bay with non-violence. Unfortunately, non-violence would not have been enough on that day.
Why wouldn't they run away sooner? Yeah, that's a question and a half. I feel like that's a bigger problem with, like, this is not, again, I'm not getting, like, the frustrated levels here, but I'm getting annoyed. It's more like it's annoying because I don't think they're, like, taking into account a lot of the issues that were present at all. Also, why wouldn't, like, Gyatso and knowing with Aang run away with Aang? Because if they're, like, trying to protect the Avatar, then why wouldn't Gyatso just go with Aang so they can, like, flee somewhere while the Air Nomads do their thing?
As we know, the Air Nomads all fell due to the enhanced power of the Fire Nation. In the end, only Gyatso was left. The world's greatest airbender would have likely put up quite a fight, but they would claim his life.
That's not what happened. Gyatso literally murked all the Fire Nation benders that went after him and then killed himself. He did not fall to those fuckers. He literally offed himself.
At this point, many fans think that Aang would have lost his life as well. I think that discounts.
Also, when was it say that Gyatso killed himself? I think it was in the comics. I'm pretty sure that was stated in the comics. I'm not fully sure about that, so you can check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's been stated in, like, the comics.
One major factor, the Avatar state. The second Aang emerged to see his people decimated, all those tattoos would have begun to go.
Why wouldn't he run away? Like, there. What?
Low. In a rage, Aang would have wiped out the remainder of the Fire Nation army, leaving himself alone in a temple of corpses.
Also, like, if we're being honest here, so wait a minute, you had Aang just, like, commit acts of violence here. I wonder how they're gonna handle this, because depending on how they handle this, I could get really pissed off.
The ending of Aang's life with the Air Nomads would start his next chapter, Book 2, Study. So where does a young
Hold on a minute. Are we really not addressing the fact that Aang potentially killed Fire Nation soldiers in the Avatar state? That's something that's gonna be on his mind right now. They have to go back to this at some point. Come on.
Avatar go when all of his people have been destroyed? Well, that answer is simple. He would have gone to see his good friend Bumi. Aang's first destination in his new adventure would be Omashu. His friend would convince him
Isn't he supposed to learn water first?
that he had to become the Avatar and must go to the Northern Water Tribe. Well, after they spent some time sliding down the Omashu
Okay.
delivery system, that is, Bumi would accompany Aang.
Also, why wouldn't you go to the southern water tribe? There's still water tribe members that are still available at this time. They haven't been wiped out. So why are they like? So why is the southern water tribe? So why isn't he go? Why does he have to go north?
Aang with Appa, creating a new, zanier Team Avatar. The two would likely go on many adventures on their way to the Northern Water Tribe.
That's not something that is impossible. At least I don't think. Yeah, that's not one.
Frankly, without Sokka and Katara to keep Aang on track, it likely would have taken the pair much longer to reach the place. Once there, they'd discover a Fire Nation army already attacking the tribe. In the normal timeline, this initial attack wouldn't happen for years. Fire Lord Sozin was a
Gyatso. Okay. So that's what happened. Okay. But still, Gyatso's a G. That, like, you do not fuck with Gyatso.
clever one, though. If he knew that his armies found the Avatar but failed to capture him, he'd send his armies exactly where he know they would go. This would likely play out much like it did in the original story. Aang would assist the tribe in fighting off the army using the Avatar state.
How? What triggers him? Does someone try to kill the moon spirit? Does, like, someone, like... What? Again, first of all, why isn't he going to the Southern Water Tribe? Like, the only... And also, that's one. Two, what the hell triggers the Avatar state? What, like, did the moon spirit die in this one? Are you, like, serious right now, CBR? Are you, like, serious? Oh, you cannot just put in these fucking gaps in your stories and not address them! What?
Who knows, Bumi may have even had his own share of romance. Though, it would probably be short-lived. His girlfriend might not become the moon, but...
What?
Share of romance.
Wait, Yue? She's not alive during this timeline!
Story. Aang would assist the tribe in fighting off the army using the Avatar state. Who knows, Bumi may have even had his own share of romance. Though, it would probably be short-lived. His girlfriend might not become the moon, but let's face it, Bumi's mind is not exactly...
What? Oh, wait a minute. Are they... I'm so confused. Did they, like, put in Yue for some reason? For whatever reason? Or, like, something else? What? What did I just, like... Okay. If you're putting an image of, like, Yue... Like, are you going... Can you actually explain what you're doing there? Because, for me, it seems like you're trying to put Yue in there when she doesn't even exist yet. Not even close. They just use Yue as a stand-in. Okay. I don't want to go as insane. Okay, good.
Exactly on this planet. The main difference in this timeline is that the waterbenders likely wouldn't have let Aang leave so quickly. He would have stayed in the tribe long enough to master waterbending properly, with no...
Again, though, why did he go to the Northern Water Tribe? Couldn't he have gone to the Southern Water Tribe? Like, the Southern Water Tribe was, like, a little bit closer to the Southern Air Temple, wasn't it? I'm so confused. And then, like, also, like, like, from where, like, also, like, I guess the Water Tribe, learning from the Water Tribe a little bit longer is fine, but when the Fire Nation try to come back for him or something, if they know his existence, like, what the hell is going on here?
Impending deadline making him rush through the elements.
What do you mean? They're coming after him!
After a few years of training, the teenage Aang would be ready to set off with Bumi and likely a Water Tribe friend he would have made.
Oh my, okay.
Considering the fact that Pakku and Gran Gran would still be super young, this would likely be a character we wouldn't know. You know, for the sake of fun, let's combine Katara and Sokka's qualities into a new sarcastic waterbender named Kataka.
Oh god.
Expect no less than 1,000 fan drawings of this new brilliant character. Well, maybe just one would be cool. The
Oh my god.
new Team Avatar would be on their way to Ba Sing Se to find Aang and Bumi a proper earthbending teacher. The war had not yet reached Ba Sing Se, so they would likely get deeply involved in the city. They would
I'm confused. Wasn't Bumi kind of a prodigy at earthbending? I mean, I guess he wouldn't necessarily be like, I guess he wouldn't necessarily be like up there as a teacher, but like, wouldn't Bumi be good enough as a teacher though? Because he had a really good amount of knowledge on earthbending, was kind of like a monster at it. Although, I guess it's hard to like scale how good Child Bumi was, but I don't know. I feel like Aang would at least learn the basics from Bumi, right? But then again, maybe, I don't know, this is a little bit confusing. Well, the Southern Waterbenders were nearly wiped out while the Northern ones weren't. But this is 100 years into the past. That hasn't happened yet. We're 100 years into the past. That hasn't happened yet. Why not go to the Southern Water Tribe? I don't know. This is like...
likely be love, loss, and lots of great tea shops as Aang slowly mastered earthbending. This would have likely taken Aang several years to accomplish. Toph had a terrible time keeping him focused on it, and that was with Sozin's comet coming soon. Imagine
but wasn't Aang also having an issue with earthbending being a bit of a polar opposite to air?
how long it would have taken him without that motivation. By the time Aang would have been ready to master fire, he likely would have been a grown man. Not
Wait a minute, but there was still a war going on, wasn't there? There's still like a war going on for like 100, for like, there's still a war going on. Why would he need to take his time? I mean, yeah, there would be less time. Like, he would probably have more time to master some of the elements, but I don't think that like he could just like fap around and like slack off and shit. There's still war. There's still kind of a war going on. It's in the beginning stages, but still.
Not only that, but the Fire Nation was still actively looking for him. Team Avatar probably had to fend off several Fire Nation attacks on their way to Ba Sing Se. There was one advantage that Aang had though. He already had a friend in the Fire Nation, Kuzan. The trio would travel in secret to see Kuzan, where he would help Aang find a firebending master.
Wait a minute. Couldn't Kuzan, if we're doing that logic, why couldn't Kuzan be like the guy to teach him though? I mean, he would probably have a decent amount of the basics at least, right? I mean, hell, Zuko isn't necessarily the biggest expert on firebending, but he's still great in his own right. Why couldn't Kuzan? What the hell are they doing? What the hell are they doing?
They likely wouldn't have had much time for Aang to train in such a dangerous place, but eventually he would have mastered it enough.
How have you been, Sage Sama? I've been pretty good, Cynical. I've been pretty good.
Watch Bumi and Kataka get married in the enemy country.
Oh my god. What is going on with this timeline?
Would be perhaps the last peaceful moment our Team Avatar would have had before they joined the war. Little did they know that there was a change happening in the Fire Nation. Fire Lord Sozin had passed. Fire Lord Azulon would now take his place. Aang would now have to face a new, younger enemy who was even more motivated to take him out than his father was.
But they fapped around for so long and didn't even bother to like hunt him down like in the original series. What's going on here?
This would begin the longest chapter in Aang's life. Book 3, War. Unfortunately for Aang, the day he has been dreading for his entire adult life would now be upon him.
Also, they are not addressing the fact that Aang murked people like right away, and they have not addressed that trauma. I am 7 minutes into this video, and they have not addressed that shit at all. What in the fuck is going on?
He would have to enter the war against the Fire Nation. This version of Aang would not have spent months traversing through the war-ravaged world. While he would have seen more than his fair share of destruction and chaos, the war was more contained in those days. Our Aang would probably try to do things the Air Nomad way first. He would try to make a peace summit between the remaining three nations.
Isn't it how you say it? Is it fapped or faffed? Like faffed around, or is it fapped? I'm a little confused on that one.
This would mirror his efforts in Avatar: The Last Airbender, where he and his friends constructed Republic City. Only this time, things would not go as well. In that timeline, he had Zuko in his corner. In this timeline, he had Azulon, who had no interest in peace.
Wait a minute, but what about Kuzan? Again, couldn't Kuzan be like another bridge to that? Or what the fuck is going on?
After several days of the summit, Aang
Like, arguably, he didn't have anyone in his anyone significant in his corner, because Ozai was kind of opposite of him. All he had was Zuko, but in this time when he has Kuzan. What the hell are they doing?
would likely feel optimistic. The Fire Nation appeared to be more open to negotiation than he thought they would be. This Aang would be more naive as to the true intentions of the Fire Nation, even if he had seen firsthand what they were capable of. Unfortunately, some lessons you have to learn twice. Without warning, the Fire Nation would attack the summit. This would come with reports that they had also attacked the Southern Water Tribe and the city of...
Oh, now you put more significance on the freaking Southern Water Tribe!
Omashu. With one attack, Azulon would have taken out 2 major cities while also capturing many leaders from the summit. Aang's naivety would have played right into Azulon's cunning plans. Not only that, but the news would get worse. He would rush back to his tent to discover that Bumi had been critically injured. He would likely make some joke about how he wanted to slide through Omashu one last time with Aang before passing away.
What? We're talking about an older, more experienced Bumi, who is arguably one of the greatest Earthbenders of all time, and you're killing him off. Are we really drunk right now?
This would get Aang into the war for real. If you stop and think about it, the only reason the original Team Avatar took down the Fire Nation so quickly was a combination of 2 things. 1, Sozin's comet really put them in a corner. 2, Sokka was a crazy genius. If either of those things did in fact...
And Bumi's not. we're not. Like, I'm being serious. Bumi's not. Are we really being serious right now?
They likely wouldn't have been so eager to try as many crazy plans to end the war.
So, Sage, we ever do an Avatar what if? Yeah, sure, maybe.
So, it would be very likely that Avatar...
I don't think anything's that stupid. Yeah, I don't think so either.
Years, if not decades, fighting against the Fire Nation. In fact, let's say it would take so long that Azulon's sons would have time to grow into young adults.
What? How?
At this point, Azulon would be straight up obsessed with destroying Aang, the only real rival to the Fire Nation. He would task both of his sons with infiltrating the Avatar's camp. Whichever brought Aang down would be the one to ascend to the throne after his...
Again, Bumi's not... Again, they fucking kill off Bumi, and then they go around saying the only reason that Team Avatar, won so quickly was because Sokka was a mad genius. Bro, so is Bumi! What?!
Demise. Iroh, a fierce student of the Water Tribe, would have joined Kataka's forces while the young Ozai would have snaked his...
What? But, wait, what? Would Iroh, be... Don't people remember how Iroh was, not a great person before his son died? Are we, Are we serious right now? Are we being serious right now?
His way into Kuzan's. The two would have bonded with their generals, but for different reasons. Kataka awakens in Iroh the truth about the Fire Nation and turns him from his mission. Ozai,
that wouldn't happen.
However, would have manipulated Kuzan into returning his loyalty to his former home.
And that probably wouldn't happen either.
This would come to a head on the fateful summer solstice, where Aang would finally face Fire Lord Azulon. For years, he and Kataka had been planning out an infiltration mission, and it was finally ready. Iroh and Ozai would be reunited, both with opposing plans on how to handle the situation. Team Avatar...
How does Iroh know waterbending? Yeah, like, no, because he doesn't know waterbending. He studied waterbending, like, techniques to create lightning, to reflect lightning. To, like, deflect lightning away. He's not a waterbender!
Tar would sneak into the Fire Lord's throne room where Aang would openly challenge their father. Azulon and Aang would have a fight very similar to Aang versus Ozai, with the same result. Aang would
How would he take his bending away? Also, if we're being honest, would Aang even want to, like, leave them alive? Because, like, in that, how, does he go to the freaking turtle? Does he, like, is he not, why would he, like, choose to keep Azulon alive if he's already knowingly killed people? What?
take Azulon's bending away, thinking he'd...
I mean, okay, you could argue that, like, but, like, Aang had to have had some form of guilt going to the freaking Avatar state and knowing that he probably killed the Fire Nation people. Like, how would he get to the turtle? Like, what the hell is going on?
Won the war for...
Like, how would he get to that freaking, like... Also, again, they never addressed the fact that Aang actually murked an entire Fire Nation army in the Avatar state, and nothing, like, came out of that at all. None of that.
Forever. Then he would be betrayed as Kuzan and Ozai attack. Aang would take down Kuzan with little effort. His old friend would feel ashamed of his actions, and the two would almost share a moment of reconciliation. Then Ozai would strike with a lightning blast, wounding Aang. He would go for a second, but Iroh would dive in, saving Aang. Aang and his friends would retreat, but it would be too late. Aang's wounds would be too much for him. Now an old man, he would smile at his old friend Kataka and tell her to find the new avatar.
Bro, what is this bullshit? What is this bullshit? You're telling me an older Aang cannot end the war on his own? Are you, like, absolutely out of your minds right now? What in the hell?
She and Iroh would comfort him as he closes his eyes. Then,
why would Kuzan betray him? Because of, like, yeah, that's what I'm not getting either.
Across the world, the eyes of the new Avatar would open.
They're just, like, making, like, assumptions about fucking Kuzan.
Avatar Katara of the Southern Water.
I'm done. I'm actually done.
Would begin her journey as Iroh and Kataka finally find her. Fire Lord Ozai would issue his two children the same orders he got, to find the Avatar and destroy her for the throne. And so, the legend of Katara would begin.
Oh my god, this is absolute garbage. What in the... Okay, I have gotta, like, start ranking this shit, because, like, I have... Why? What in the hell? There is no way they did this shit. There's no way.
And there you have it.
This is a fucking prequel? Oh my god, please, for the love of God, do not let them cook.
Alternate Avatar.
They made this shit a freaking prequel. There is no way. This is a fucking prequel. This is a prequel. Oh no! First of all, an older Aang would murk the fucking war to his knees. Are we being for real right now? Second of all, they do not address the fact that Aang literally killed people in the Avatar state. You know, to be fair, they really didn't address that when he killed them before in, like, at the Western Air Temple, the Northern Air Temple with, like, those machine things where he, like, had those Fire Nation soldiers, like, fall off a freaking cliff. But you know what? Aang also acknowledged the fact that he nearly killed people while he was in the Avatar state. And they don't address that at all. Also, why did Boomy have to get packed up when he's when he's a freaking insane ass earthbender, and is also a mad genius when they also use that same logic that Sokka wouldn't work because, oh well, they don't really have a mad genius anymore. Boomy is quoted as being a mad genius by Aang. Oh my god. And on top of that, how in the hell would Iroh be swayed? Why in the hell would freaking, like, Kuzan be a... Why in the hell would Kuzan betray Aang in this timeline? Like, are they just, like, making shit up just for the sake of making shit up? Like, what the hell are they doing? I just realized the Katara Avatar video will probably make Zutara. Oh, no. At least they didn't pull...
What did you guys think of The Legend of Aang? Did you think this story
They didn't... No, they didn't. They pulled off a free... Oh, my
would
God.
go a different way? Let us know in the comments.
Garbage! Absolute garbage! That was so bad! That was so bad! Oh no. Please do not tell me this is the sequel. Do not tell me this is... Please do not tell me this is a sequel. I'm not ready, man. I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for, like... I'm not ready for a lot of shit. I'm really not. Why do they have to like do this idea? Why did it have to do why what the hell? Do the Zuko one. Yeah, let's do it.
Imagine the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender on fire. Most of its nations crumbled to ash with no Avatar coming to save them. That is the world where Zuko never earned his redemption and became the villain of his father's dreams. I'll explain all about the global destruction here in a second, but we need to establish a few things first. So first things first, let's establish where exactly Zuko's redemption actually happens. This is a surprisingly difficult question, as there are many moments throughout the series where Zuko has his awakening. The easiest point to cite for his redemption is the one where he finally turns on his father. This isn't really an impulsive move, though. If anything, it's an inevitability coming to fruition. The previous point comes when Zuko betrays Team Avatar without revealing that Katara has the magic healing water from the North Pole. Sure, this isn't a true redemptive moment for Zuko, but it does prove that his mind wasn't as made up as he thought. Nope, the true moment of redemption for Zuko came when Iroh convinced him to relinquish the blue spirit and save Appa. From that moment forward, Zuko had changed on a fundamental level. The rest of his arc was simply him accepting that change. It's part of what makes his
Okay, they actually are doing a good job so far, because it would have been easy for Zuko for no reason to like not for them to like go into this like saying, oh yeah, well Zuko actually doesn't betray the Fire Lord and shit. But there's a lot of layers as to where Zuko's redemption arc kind of like begins. You start off with, you go back a long way with Zuko not revealing the healing, like the fact that Katara can heal. You go back even further than that, and you can also like say that, but you go back to the main point, which is where Zuko not taking Appa was his decision. But like my question is like how are they gonna do this? Like although like if Zuko actually had taken Appa though, it would have been he would have been screwed. Like it would have been probably over for him actually.
arc so magnificent. Redemption is kind of like tipping over a vending machine. You can't really do it in one push. You gotta rock it back and forth a little bit. But when you finally do get it tipped over, oh, baby, so many tasty treats.
What the fuck is going on?
So what would the series look like if Zuko hadn't saved Appa? Well, it's likely the next part of his plan would be to use Appa as a trap. This would lead to another...
Where the hell would they put him though? Where would they put him? Where? Iroh had a good point into like convincing him here because like why would they just like where would they put him though?
Battle with Team Avatar, but this time with a twist. See, Azula was already in town, unknown to everybody else. She and her team would come in to help Zuko now that he had Aang on the ropes. This would also mirror the big confrontation.
What? Why? But why would Zuko at this point willingly work with Azula? Like why? There's a lot more like the thing is that Azula is still hunting him down and shit. Like, eventually it came to a point where Azula was, like, doing her mind tricks and shit eventually, but Zuko didn't want to, like, work with Azula at that point.
In crossroads of destiny. Regardless of the specifics of the situation, destiny still arrives
What's up,
nonetheless.
Andrew?
This time, just as before, Aang will go full Avatar state, only for Azula to blast him with some lightning. Zuko, knowing that Katara is a trained healer, would then prove undeniably that he was his father's son by blasting Aang's body with a fireball. This would not only destroy Aang, but the entire Avatar cycle.
But how would Katara allow that? She escaped easily, with her waterbane and shit. I guess without Appa there, it's a possibility, but, like, wouldn't he just, like, blast Katara next afterwards to prevent her from doing anything? What?
Cycle as well. It would be the biggest Nickelodeon twist since we found out that Timmy Turner was actually just a really young Drake Bell the whole time.
Please stop.
After seeing her love and hope for the world obliterated, Katara would likely attack Zuko in a way we've never seen before.
But why would she allow him? Why would she allow him to strike a fireball though? Like, Katara got out of dodge really quickly.
She would strike at him with a blast of her North Pole water and freeze his face. And then Azula would cancel out Katara with another blast of lightning. Toph would then have to haul an enraged Sokka away just so that they could live to fight another day. While this might seem like an easy win for the Fire Nation, it actually creates a lot more conflict. You see, unknown to anyone at the time, there was a secret group of elderly warriors called the White Lotus that would not be too happy about this. The destruction of the Avatar cycle would be a huge crime against the spiritual world, so the Elder Avengers would definitely be coming for justice. Honestly, I wish Betty White, Sir Patrick Stewart, and Morgan Freeman would team up to save our world already. You know they could do it. Not only that, but if Azula didn't spend quality time with the Earth King as a disguised Kyoshi warrior, she wouldn't have known about the Day of Black Sun. So, Sokka's plan to surprise the Fire Nation while their bending was gone would have been a lot more of a good idea. Also, one of the biggest feathers in the Fire Nation's cap.
But they don't have the Avatar to take down the Fire Lords, so it's not really gonna work like that. What?
Was that the other nations weren't.
But although then again, the White Lotus there is probably a factor, I guess. But like, again, a lot of this is coming off of like, why the hell would Katara allow Aang's body to get fire blasted? Why in the hell? Because she got out of dodge really quickly, and why would she like not be able to like and like why? I guess killing her off there would kind of make sense due to her anger and shit. But, like, I don't know.
A united front. The destruction of the Avatar would be a crime against every nation, making it much easier for them to rally together at last. So, imagine a force combining the White Lotus, Team Avatar, the Earth Kingdom, and the
or what's left of it.
Water tribes coming for the Ozai family during the eclipse, which will now all be a surprise. Yeah, the Fire Nation's gonna be in some trouble. Of course, now things are all good with Team Ozai. Zuko's now living as his father's favorite baby boy at last, the true Avatar Slayer. That discomfort and inner rage that he felt after betraying Iroh would no longer be so hard to do.
This video didn't age well with that Drake Bell comment at all. Oh no, it did not. I find it funny in any what if where the Avatar cycle is destroyed, it would eventually end with the world ending due to harmonic conversions.
He never truly changed this time, and
yeah, he didn't really. I guess there's a point there, but there's still like some form of goodness in Zuko. But wouldn't there be like questions on his drive and shit, especially knowing that the Avatar is probably dead? Like there was a lot of those questions like there, especially because like after the Avatar was done, his drive kind of like dissipated a little bit. I don't know, but maybe not. I have to look at that again. But that was like the entire conflict of like Zuko going to the Sun Temple.
Instead, he'd just revert back to the Zuko we met in episode 1. Except this time, he'd be much more hardened and cynical than ever before. To complete his transformation into Dark Zuko, he would now permanently hide his disfigurement beneath his blue spirit mask.
If he did that though, he'd get in trouble because before he saved the Avatar, so he would get into some freaking trouble for being the blue spirit. Like, what?
This would essentially make him Avatar's Darth Vader, the seemingly irredeemable monster of the Fire Nation. This would naturally make Azula vengeful and jealous, though her old tricks wouldn't work on the new Zuko. The cold, detached blue spirit is not as easily swayed as Zuzu was. While the two would likely begin plotting against each other, things would come to a head once the Day of Black Sun arrived. Things would start off very badly for the Fire Nation. Sokka's army combined with the White Lotus would easily invade the mostly defenseless capital.
Alright, they're at least giving credit to the White Lotus, I guess.
Iroh would go for his brother while Sokka would go for Zuko. The only problem is that while most Fire
I am very surprised that Dark Avatar has not been brought up at all in this What If. Oh my god, you might have a point there.
Airbenders would be defenseless, Zuko wouldn't be. We know that Zuko might not be the greatest firebender in the series, but he was one of the best swordsmen by far. Sokka also would have likely had more time to study his meteor sword skills in preparation for this fight.
Yeah, okay.
The two would duel in the middle of an epic battle that looks like the end for the Fire Nation. Sokka's surprising and unpredictable style would be hard for even Zuko to deal with, especially in the chaos surrounding him. This would lead to him taking a page out of Azula's playbook. He would start mocking Sokka and Aang and Katara. This would cause Sokka to start making mistakes. All it would take would be one wrong move for Sokka to give Zuko an opening. And then things would finally take a turn for the worse. Zuko would get the upper hand on Sokka, slashing away the leader of the combined army. Then the eclipse would end, allowing the firebenders to repel the invaders. Meanwhile, Iroh would have succeeded in capturing Ozai. He would throw his prisoner before the Fire Nation army, declaring the battle was done. Even Ozai would likely tell his soldiers to surrender to spare himself. This coward—
No, he wouldn't. Ozai's a psychopath. What? What? Wait, Aang's alive? No. He's just like mocking Aang's dead body. Didn't they say he died earlier? Wait, what?
Opening. And then things would finally take a turn. King Sokka and Aang and Katara. This would cause Sokka to start making mistakes. All it would take would be one wrong move for Sokka to give Zuko an opening. And then things would finally take a turn for the worse. Zuko would get the eclipse would end, allowing the firebenders to repel the invaders. Meanwhile, Iroh would have succeeded in capturing Ozai. He would throw his prisoner before the Fire Nation army, declaring the battle was done. Even Ozai would likely tell his soldiers to surrender to spare himself. This cowardice would be met with a bolt of lightning from his own daughter.
First of all, Ozai would not say that shit at all. And then second of all, why— Azula has been wanting to get attention from her father for a while. Why would she then kill him? Like, Ozai had a freaking manipulation cast onto her for a while. Like, why Ozai? It's just out of character for Ozai and just out of character for Azula as well. It doesn't work. What the hell is wrong with these people?
Smiling, Azula would declare that the Fire Nation never surrenders as she and Zuko continue to battle. Iroh, unable to bring himself to fight his beloved nephew, would retreat. The Fire Lord would be destroyed, but the Fire Nation would be victorious. Zuko and his sister would stand proud of their accomplishment, but only for a few seconds. You see, only one of them can be the new ruler. Azula would challenge her brother to a final confrontation, but this Zuko wouldn't take the bait. Instead, he'd issue a signal, and suddenly there would be an explosion where Azula was standing. That's right. Instead of hiring Combustion Man to take out Aang, this time he would have hired the assassin to take out his sister.
Wait, but didn't he already hire the guy all those years earlier? Like before, didn't he hire Combustion Man before Aang before? Wasn't Combustion Man already after Aang before? So, why would he, he hasn't, let Combustion Man know that, that Aang's already dead. Wasn't he hired before? Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that, right? What are they talking about? He was hired before, wasn't he? In the Book of Water or Earth? What are we God.
Nothing would now keep Zuko from becoming the Phoenix King.
Even if Aang and Katara died, I don't know how Zuko would have escaped the cave. Like, oh yeah, because Iroh... Wait a minute, Iroh was captured after that too! Like, why would Iroh allow fucking Katara to die? What?!
And every Fire Nation soldier would be outfitted with a replica Blue Spirit mask and swords. On the day of Sozon's comet, he would complete his father's work and lay waste to the Earth Kingdom.
There are a lot more problems now than I'm thinking about it right now.
With no avatar to stop him. So this brings us to the Legend of Korra continuity, only with one huge problem. There's no Korra. Without the Avatar cycle, everyone's favorite hot-headed hero would be a no-show. So who would be the hero in a world where Korra, Tenzin, and the gang likely didn't even exist? Well, I have some pretty crazy ideas on that front. You see, in the Northern Water Tribe, a local criminal would have discovered how to bloodbend without needing the full moon, and would have taught this to his children. The leader of that tribe would also have discovered spiritual secrets that were buried centuries ago.
What the fuck is going on?
Oh, not only that, but a dark group of fighters sprung from the ashes of the White Lotus would have formed. Perhaps most importantly, a
Wait a minute, everyone would have died. What?
young metal-bending woman would unite the survivors of the Earth Kingdom into a new empire. Yeah, that's right. Amon, Unalaq, the Red Lotus, and Kavira are now the closest things to heroes the Avatar universe has left. In a world completely engulfed in flames, even the villains can become heroes. This Zuko would also be nothing like the one we see in Legend of Korra. That Zuko managed to have a family and happily forged a new world with the Avatar and his friends. This one wouldn't have had any time for family or happiness. You see, there are a lot of long-term problems with burning half of the entire world.
And everyone, how would they even exist though if you're burning half the world? Like, what the fuck is going
For
on?
one, you also burn a lot of your farmland and nature.
Yep, Amon. Oh my god.
Knowing Avatar, this would probably anger more than a few spirits. It would also make the Fire Nation's expansion into the Earth Kingdom.
Oh wait, oh, man, what the hell are they doing? Bro, metal bending wouldn't exist, so I don't know if Kavira would even be relevant at all. Oh my god. Wait, when did Toph discover metal bending? I know she was captured for a bit, for a hot minute. But when was she when was that? Was it during the Book of Earth or Fire? Because if it's during Fire, and making assumption that metal bending still exists with all the conflict going on, oh god, that's actually not good.
5 times as difficult.
Oh yeah, and where is the Dark Avatar? He should be showing up at some point too.
Now they would have to rebuild cities, replant thousands of trees, and desperately try to reinvigorate the farmland. His years ruling would likely have been filled with impossible task after impossible task that would only degrade the Fire Nation over the decades. Taking over the world is one thing, but ruling it would be a whole other problem. The elderly Phoenix King's troubles would get worse with that pesky equalist movement. Now that the Fire Nation has wiped out a sizable portion of the population, it would be very easy for Amon to get non-benders on his side. Only this time, he'd likely focus his attention on taking the bending away from firebenders. While that's going on, the Red Lotus would form this time to avenge the Avatar cycle instead of destroying it. So while Zuko is struggling to deal with an equalist movement running rampant through the world, he'd also be dodging assassination attempts from an
Oh shit, Amon would have been dead. What the hell is going on? At this point, I'm really confused with this timeline.
elite group of fighters, though they would be quite a bit less elite since this Zahir wouldn't be an airbender. These problems at home would be nothing compared to Kavira, along with Toph Beifong and her children leading an army of earth and metal benders to retake the Earth Kingdom with giant robots. Eventually, Zuko would realize that the Fire Nation had stretched itself far too thin. That there's no way that he could possibly take on all of these threats at once. And then the worst would happen. Unalaq would succeed in releasing Vaatu from the spirit world. A new avatar would be born, but this one would be a dark counterpart
Oh, there he is! The Dark Avatar showed up.
to Aang, one that would bring the entire world into eternal darkness. What's worse is that this would be a threat that only an avatar would be able to defeat. Seeing as Zuko obliterated the entire concept of an avatar, he's fresh out of luck. This is when Zuko would come to the revelation that he'd been running towards his entire life. Ozai was wrong. He'd gaze out upon the great empire of his father's dreams and see only disorder and chaos with no force or harmony to restore the balance. Too late would he realize that his uncle had been right all this time. The only way for the world to be at peace would be a world where the nations coexisted. He would remove his mask and look at the deformed remnants of his face for the first time in years. Then he'd think back to that day where his uncle urged him to release Appa.
Again, like, how in the hell would they have been able to hide Appa, though, too? There are problems with this, what if. It's not really, it's just, like, it's not really as, ugh, God.
And in turn, the Blue Spirit. He would wonder what the world would have...
Would there be any other benders if Zuko wiped them all out? Oh my god, that's another point, too. Like, what the hell is going on here?
Looked like if he'd made the other choice. If he'd joined the Avatar. Would the world really be at peace now? Zuko's final thought would be of a city where all 4 nations might have lived together in peace. A tear would roll down his eyes as he dropped the blue mask spirit at last. Then
again, like, how would he not get in trouble for that too? Like, what the hell is going
Kuvira,
on?
The Equalists, the Red Lotus, or some other twisted monster from his broken empire would end his reign at last, but they would never be able to save the world. Ooh, well, there you have.
And this is garbage too. What the hell? I don't know where this ranks as garbage, where it ranks on top of the garbage pile, but like, it definitely is not really making a lot of sense. It's definitely not. Oh no, I don't know what I wanted to stream for like maybe like a half an hour more, but I don't know if I'm ready for this one mentally. I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for this one. You know what? I'm roasting Amagi. What was this one? There it is. There it is. What if Boruto and Korra had a baby? Oh man, I don't know how prepared I am for this one. Oh no, no, no. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Phew, boy, that is not good.